Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Crypto News Podcast. We are buzzing as always. My apologies for the toque today, guys, for my American listeners and pretty much everyone in the world outside of Canada. We call it a toque. You guys call it a beanie. I know it's not definitely the best gear for the pod. I wish I had a Crypto News one, but I don't. It is absolutely freezing here. It's minus 23 Celsius, guys. I don't even know what that is in Fahrenheit, but it is bloody cold. But enough about me, enough about the weather. Super pumped to have the one and only Matt Ober on the show today, managing partner at Social Leverage, an early stage VC firm focused on investing in fintech and enterprise SaaS. The firm is best well known for being early investors in Robinhood, Etoro, Alpaca, and Kustomer. Wow, which was also acquired by Meta. Matt was most recently chief data scientist at Third Point. Prior to joining Third Point, he was head of data strategy at WorldQuant and part of the WorldQuant Ventures founding team focused on private investments in fintech, data, and technologies. Also the founder of initialdataoffering.com. What a banger of a domain, which is the largest community of data buyers and data vendors. What a bio. Maddie, pumped to have you on. Welcome to the show, my friend. How you doing this morning? Morning for you, afternoon for me.
Thank you, Matt. Doing well, doing well. It's nice and warm in San Diego, so a little bit different.
I'm jealous. I'd be golfing my bag off if I was down there playing some Torrey Pines. Why wouldn't you? Oh, that is something I did not know till a couple of years ago. If you are a San Diego resident, what does Torrey cost? Like $50? That's it.
It's very cheap. I'm unfortunately right on the border of what's considered eligible, so I do not get the discount. So I have to phone a friend to get that price.
That's electric. For the non-golf
Yeah.
listeners, Torrey Pines is it's got to be top 50 track in the whole world. Absolutely beautiful, right on the water. And it's on the bucket list, and we will play there one day. Okay, let's get into it. You work for one of the best VC firms. You guys have had some incredible investments, like I listed: Robinhood, Etoro, Alpaca, Kustomer. You sort of have that bread and butter of fintech and enterprise SaaS. That's sort of the go-to. Before the show, you and I talked about a really cool investment that you guys just dabbled into called Part 4. We'll save that for the end of the show. But let's just start with sort of the overall macro thesis, and then we can pick away at some of the smaller points. What is the secret sauce 2026 investing-wise? What areas are you guys looking for present day?
Yeah, I mean, I think for us, we're sticking to what we've been doing for the last 17 plus years. Fintech, and you call it vertical SaaS, you call it vertical AI now. That's the majority of the portfolio. I think we've had some winners in the consumer space from time to time. We're an investor in Manscaped, which has been pretty popular and gone viral over the years. But we look for founders with big ideas that know it's going to take 7 to 10 years to get there, and somewhere we can kind of roll up our sleeves and be hands-on. So we're not investing in the next OpenAI. It's got to be something that we can use the product. We feel like we have an edge on problem that we're trying to solve. And I think at the end of the day, we're very valuation conscious. So we're pretty disciplined in that domain. We're not chasing crazy valuations. I think if you look back historically, Robinhood, Beehive, which is like a Substack competitor, all the fintech companies, but on like sub $10 million valuations is where we, typically get in and take a 10 to 20+% ownership and really jump on board.
That's wild. You guys takes a big set of kahunas to get in that early. On the Robinhood bet, because again, every podcast our team always chimes in and gives me some questions. That is the one sort of biggest commonality of this one, Maddie. Everyone was like, Robinhood stories, Robinhood stories, Robinhood stories. Any good stories from meeting Vlad and the squad? Just anything that stuck out in particular? Did you guys know that they would get on this rocket ship and go to the moon like they did? Any good Robinhood stories you have for us?
Well, I think the big background on that is my partner, Howard Lindzen, started StockTwits. So StockTwits, It's like the Twitter for finance. He's still chairman there. I actually sit on the board. Back to my early days on the quantitative hedge fund side, we were the first client of StockTwits. So that's how me and Howard actually met each other. I cold called him, and we were using the StockTwits API for figuring out, retail sentiment. I think with StockTwits, both now and, going back almost 17 years, like we sit in an interesting position there where you kind of see like what the, retail degenerate economy is interested in trading, what the behaviors are like. I think when Howard and Tom first met Vlad and Baiju and they were building it, beautiful app, obviously, but they were able to launch that on the back of StockTwits, right? You got hundreds of thousands, now millions of users that were looking for a better experience than E-Trade, right? $10 a trade back then versus, completely free, beautiful UI, UX, makes like, trading a simple swipe. They also, they were rejected by, they'll say like 100 different investors said no. They pivoted. I think, in the early days, it was like an algo trading company,
Yep.
which is funny. That's obviously my background on the quant side. So it's betting on the right people with a big idea. We usually say on our side, like non-consensus is where you make the most money. We invested in wealth management 5, 6 years ago. Nobody really had any interest in wealth tech. You fast forward to today, VCs are throwing money at wealth management companies. So
Yep.
I think you have to be early and see a bigger vision. And I think, credit my partners, Howard and Tom, for seeing that early with Robinhood.
I love that. How do you guys see that vision? How do you guys get to the puck before it's going there? Because that's something that, a lot of people sort of have the idea, they have the inclination, but how do you know? Is it the gut? What is it that just sort of speaks to you and says, hey, this is it? I know you're a huge data guy. I'd love to get into a deep dive on present day data and how valuable it is, but is there a particular thing or two that really sort of sticks out and is that North Star for knowing when a trend is going to be a full on trend many years in advance?
I mean, yeah, listen, I think it's being hands-on with the products and talking to founders, and social leverage has always been about leveraging our social network. And so I think, if you're having these conversations and you're playing with the tools that are out there, you got to start to think about, like, well, what would the better experience be if it was possible, right? Forget regulation and pricing and compute capacities, and you throw all those things away and talk about what that means in the data world even. But like, you get rid of all that stuff, we're lucky enough to have funds that have 10-year visions, right?
Yeah.
The best companies, Robinhood, I think, took 9 years to go public. Etoro 13.
Yeah.
A lot of
Good
companies
point.
take a lot if they're going to get to that finish line. Obviously there's a lot of M&A and things that can happen before that. And so if you think about that, then you know sometimes the founders have that vision from the beginning. Sometimes, you're betting on the right people that have something they're going after, and it becomes something bigger, right? But with a lot of these things, there's going to be a lot of pivots and twists and turns from day one. And so it's really about who do you want to, be working with on a daily, weekly basis for, arguably the next 10 years.
I love it. Speaking of trends, prediction markets front and center right now. Your blog is great. In prep for the show, I ripped tons of your blogs. Also, you ship at a crazy pace. I mean, every couple days, some days back-to-back bangers, just bangers only club. They're always out there. I love that. You had a take, and I don't know if it was completely yours. I believe it was the CEO of Kalshi's, but this was in your blog, that prediction markets traders might be the new Uber drivers, where it's like, it is income on the side. All you need is a device and an internet connection. You need to start with very small. I mean, we've seen the stories online. Yes, it's few and far in between, but guys turning 50 cents into a couple $100K, just being right time after time after time, not taking much risk, just, 90% bets time after time after time. Are prediction markets here to stay, Maddie? Is this going to continue to blow up? Are we sort of hitting the peak? What's good with prediction markets
I think
2026?
it's just the beginning.
Just the beginning?
Listen, I think it's the beginning. I think it's early. I think obviously it reminds me a lot of crypto trading, like ICOs and, all these crypto coins you've never heard of that are making a ton of money. What I really compare it to, though, is, there's a guy named Chris Camillo who's a good friend of mine. He runs dumbmoney.tv, and he teaches social arb investing, which is like investing based off seeing stuff like on a day-to-day basis. Maybe you walked by Lululemon enough times, you're like, this store is blowing up. 5, 6 years ago, like everybody's wearing, workout pants. He talks about that with products and just trends from understanding, like, what's happening in the social world around you. I think with prediction markets, you're going to have your mega caps where the hedge funds and the banks and everything are going to trade interest rates, and they're going to trade like who the next president's going to be. But then you have this long tail that, like, if you knew Bad Bunny was going to be the top Spotify artist 4 years ago, you make a ton of money. I don't follow Spotify music trends that closely, but there definitely are people that do, right? Or like, if you really understand like the Birkin bags at Hermes, and you know what the next Birkin bag is going to trade for in the secondary market in a Christie's auction. It's a very niche vertical, right? You probably make a shit ton of money. And I think so. Like, is it the next Uber drivers? I don't know, but I do think that, like, you're essentially starting a new asset class, and like somebody that comes from financial markets, like, you have stocks, you have options. Like, if you think about penny stocks, there are so many penny stocks and
Yeah.
small caps and micro caps that, like, we've never even heard of that are public companies. Volatility is crazy, but people make money there.
Yeah.
Not everybody's investing in Nvidia and Google. So I think it's here to stay. And I think, Vlad said that Robinhood could get to 1 trillion contracts a month. Like, if you think about that, that's absolutely
wild.
absurd. And now, like, Fanatics is doing prediction markets, like all the gambling apps are. I mean, what it comes down to is like every sports gambling app is going to offer stocks. Every brokerage app is going to have some sort of prediction markets. Do they have everything? I think Schwab said they'll probably only have like, the ones that really make sense for investors. But you look at Robinhood, like we're going to blow our brains out on whatever we want to,
Yeah.
predict or day trade.
Yeah. That leads to my next point. I'm sure you saw that viral article on Twitter. This is something I don't write often, Maddie, but this is something that I've personally written more about over the last probably 3 months than anything over the last couple of years. And this is the degenerate economy. For the folks who perhaps didn't read that viral article, also known as financial nihilism, it's really just the fact that humans are betting on everything. We are trying to profit off everything and anything right now. And coupled with that, the younger generation, a lot of folks, even my age, I'm a 95, I just turned 31. I'm at the cusp of the millennial, but the Gen Zs, under the Gen Zs, they're hooped, for lack of better words. They don't have the opportunities like my parents to buy a house for a couple $100K and turn it into a great investment. They just think they're stuck. Wages have not gone up with inflation, blah, blah, blah. We've all heard this story before. And they think their only way out is to be a degenerate gambler. And maybe not even a pure degenerate, but just, I like the term more degeneracy, because it really is gambling on everything and anything. Like you discussed, Maddie, will Bad Bunny be at the top of the charts this year? Who knows? But if you're a big Bad Bunny fan and you get music, you spend a lot of time on Spotify, maybe it is. So give me your 2 cents on this. I know you've written about this. You've spoke about this, the degenerate economy and how it plays such a big part in 2026 and how it's probably going nowhere anytime soon.
I mean, I think my partner Howard has been talking about this degenerate economy for like 2-3 years now, if not longer, about like laying in your lazy boy chair, ordering a $50 burrito on your phone while you're vaping and day trading stocks and gambling and parlays. Listen, I don't think it's going anywhere. Like, I have kids. I'm the oldest of 5 siblings. Like, I get it. Like, how do you buy a multi-million-dollar home if you're making 100 grand a year, 150
Yeah.
grand a year? Like the dream of getting to that next level, there's such a gap. And like, what is there? I mean, I think it's like there's all these side hustles now. We're an investor in Beehive, and everybody is building newsletters, and then they have products that they're selling, and they're generating revenue from other means outside of their W-2. I think it's tough. I think if anything, like you hear, like in the world of AI that we live in, there's still much more opportunity now to build a company.
Yeah.
So do I think it's tough? Do I think we live in a degenerate economy? I do. I think also at the same time, like there's such an interesting opportunity now to build your own business
Yeah.
and make money to get into that higher level. Like, are you going to chase all the way to the tops where people are making, we're going to have the first trillionaires eventually here? Like, I don't know, but like, I also think that as hard as it is, it's also an interesting time to be building.
Yeah. It's never been harder to this is sort of what I say, and I'm wording it not well, so my apologies, but it's never been harder to chase the American dream, but it's never been easier to make a dollar in my eyes personally. Like,
Completely agree.
Our parents, that like back in the, both my, my dad took the subway to work. We only had one car growing up. My mom drove to work. Both my parents worked. I get to work from wherever I want in the world and every friggin' day. Like, how lucky am I? I can whip up any business anytime. It's just the opportunities present day are infinite. Speaking of AI, just like you discussed, 10 years ago, when I was in my early 20s, I had tons of great ideas, but I couldn't really launch those businesses. Yeah, it's an excuse. I needed a friggin' dev, or better yet, a whole team of devs. Now I can literally just talk to Claude and rip something up right away, and I'm dancing. It's completely different. On that note, what trends are going to be the biggest winners in the financial degeneracy narrative? The non-obvious ones, obviously the Robinhoods, the sort of application layers, everyone gets that, but any sort of niches where people should really be taking a peek at?
Yeah, no, listen, I think the prediction markets are here to stay. I think there's probably a lot of picks and shovels around that. I think that this whole tokenization trend is going to happen. I mean, if you follow crypto for long enough, there's been a whole talk about tokenization. I think like, stable coins are here to stay, but I think if you think about tokenizing everything, Alpaca is an infrastructure company we invested in. Like, you're going to have tokenization of stocks. You're going to have all these private companies like SpaceX to Stripe, much easier access for people because they're not going public, and more liquidity and make it more accessible to the everyday person. I think with that, like, the whole real estate tokenization, I think, is interesting. Like, why can't I take a bet on, the value of the homes in and around my neighborhood as
Yeah.
another investment?
Yeah.
I've always been a collectibles guy. I think we saw the boom and bust, and maybe now collectibles are coming back again, but like tokenizing sneakers and all these things, like you're day trading sneakers and on StockX, do you really have to take possession of those sneakers? So like, I think tokenization is coming more now than it was in the past. And I think it takes the big banks and like the big institutions buying in, and I think they are.
Yeah.
And so I think like all the boring infrastructure stuff is going to make everything tradable, which is
Yeah.
probably another issue.
Yeah.
So that excites us. I mean, I think that everything in the financial services space needs to be rethought that
100%.
can be built better and easier with AI. Like there's a lot of companies, especially in the data space, that have 10, 20, 30,000 people.
Yeah.
Probably build the same business with like 40 people. Right? So like
I know.
that to me is like very interesting.
Yeah. Banks in particular, I think banks are the head chopping that's going to happen at banks is going to be insane personally. I used to have a thought a couple of years ago where I was like, financial advisors are done forever, but I still think the older generation, Maddie, and correct me if I'm wrong, I do think a big chunk of that is to still be able to put the blame on someone, where it's like my generation, if we lose money, whatever, and we're not in it for, 8% gains a year. We want baggers every single year, or minimum 50% every single year. And if we screw up, we're like, okay, well, we know the sandbox we're getting into. But that's another thing. I do still think financial advisors will continue to drop, but not to the degree that I first did. Just some wild stuff
Yeah,
here.
I would say yes. And I mean, the whole AI financial advisors, I think the reality is when people have money, start to make more money, there's more complications, right? There's
Yeah.
tax, there's estate, there's like,
Yeah.
you start to think about like, how do I like save more of this wealth? And
Yeah.
I think that people want somebody to talk to people about that. I do think
Yeah.
that we're going to see AI for financial advisors. So if an advisor can only handle 100 clients, with AI, they might be able to handle 1,000 clients, right?
Good point.
And
Yeah.
like if you dump on them like 1,000 pages of paperwork across your brokerage accounts, your crypto accounts, your collectibles accounts, and you say, what's my financial plan or what do I do? Obviously with AI, we can ingest that, we can extract it. We have tools we've even invested in that do that, so that the advisor can like quickly be like, okay, I got a sense of what you own, and I can kind of get a trajectory of like, the side hustles you have and the businesses you're building. I see your revenue from your Beehive newsletter, and then they can quickly be like, here's where you're going.
I like that.
I think people, the wealthiest of people want somebody to talk to. Will we have people with no advisor doing it themselves? Absolutely. Better direct to consumer tools, democratize the family office tools for the everyday person. Definitely.
Yeah.
Still think that we're going to have advisors, and that's a booming business these days.
Yeah. I guess I'm more speaking on behalf of my gen, but like I don't have many friends, and even my friends who print money, just like you said, they have advisors for tax estates, they have advisors for the whole 9 yards, but like actually picking stocks and crypto, they do a lot of it themselves, and they're so good at it too. But anyways, look, quick break, Maddie. Got a huge shout out to Prime XBT. When we get back, we're going to keep buzzing on wealth management tech, and I want to take a deep dive into data, which I believe is, well, you have many parts of bread and butter, but one of your bread and butters, and how it's literally digital gold nowadays. Huge shout out to Prime XBT, longtime friends and longtime sponsors of the Crypto News podcast. We love the team at Prime XBT, as they offer a robust trading system for both beginners and professional traders. It doesn't matter if you're a rookie or a vet. You can easily design and customize your layouts and widgets to best fit your trading style. Prime XBT is also running an exclusive promo for listeners of the Crypto News podcast. Use the promo code CryptoNews50. That's CryptoNews50, all one word, to receive 50% of your deposit credited to your trading account. Again, CryptoNews50, all one word, to receive 50% of your deposit credited to your trading account. Now back to the show with Maddie. Okay, let's start with data here. Data is, and you've had a bunch of pieces on this as well, data is digital gold nowadays, especially financial data. This is something that I've been looking at a lot recently. There are some teams who are really figuring out, it's still so bloody tough, even with AI, how the AI needs, similarities amongst financial statements, and all the different financial statements are done in different ways, and the PDFs and the formatting, it's an absolute shit show. But data as a whole, any sort of new models, any trends, anything that you've seen in particular that's becoming a gold mine, that's becoming obsolete, just give me the big TLDR thought dump on present day data.
I mean, I think the biggest trend in data is moving to consumption-based models, right? Historically, if you're a buyer of data, financial institution, whatever it is, like you're paying $120,000 a year. Here's an API, boom, boom, gone. I think the future, and there's companies like Carbon and a few others that are kind of like building these marketplaces, which is like, you want to pay for what you need when you need it, right? Like even think about it from an end consumer perspective. We use ChatGPT, we're asking it questions. Eventually it's going to get to a point where it doesn't have access to information. But what if it said to you, hey, like we have the answer, but it's going to cost you 3 cents? You might spend $30 that day. You weren't going to spend a dime otherwise. So consumption-based data marketplaces and consumption-based models are happening. And I think, this goes to the whole idea of like AI agents are going to be buying data. And, a big trend in fintech is like, how do you give wallets to these AI agents? I think about it from a hedge fund perspective. Like if an analyst is using, a chat GPT and it's asking questions, it should have a wallet of 10 grand a month, and the analyst can spend money, on things that it doesn't have access to. We buy Bloomberg, we buy FactSet, we buy data that, helps us run our core business. But now we're taking a deep dive into Celsius energy drinks, and I need deep insight on the supply chain for Celsius energy. We don't have that in-house, but my AI agent found something out there that they can buy for $1,200. I'm looking to make a $250 million investment. I'll spend $1,200 today, but I never would have spent any money with that vendor in the past. So I think that's key. I think Fiscal AI, Toronto-based company, so for everybody in Canada, they're really rethinking how do you build these data companies with, 50 people. There's an exciting company many years ago called SNL that S&P bought for $2.5 billion. And it's one of the best fundamental data assets out there. You really want to get into the balance sheets and income statements, but like deep core KPIs. They have tons of employees offshore. Like, S&P in itself has 10, 20, 30,000 people at this point. Fiscal AI, using AI under the hood, is collecting global fundamental data. They're able to run AI agents to look at the data in 3 different ways: PDFs, XML, scraping it from the sites, check everything. If everything is in an agreement on the numbers, can push out KPIs in seconds, if not minutes. Or they have a third human in the loop to check things. But now they can deliver KPIs on, Netflix subs or, AWS revenue when Amazon reports earnings quicker than the big guys can, because AI is doing all this work for them. They have all these AI agents running. And so like, you jump on your favorite news or financial media site, and now like earnings and earning KPIs are updated within like 3-4 minutes. The big guys are pushing some of that out 2-3 days later.
Yeah.
That's wild, right? It changes everything, makes prediction markets more possible. Do prediction markets on how many subs are Netflix going to add in Canada this month versus India. All that data, as it starts to be released by Netflix, is now possible because we're crunching and releasing information quicker. So, I think we're going to see data companies built with 100 people instead of 10,000 people. And the whole pricing model is changing.
That's crazy. Are you guys investors in Fiscal AI?
We are investors in Fiscal AI.
Nice. Good team. Should I meet up with them?
Good team. Braden Dennis, based in Toronto. A couple co-founders. They've got an international team. Just hired a new big head of sales that was announced. Portage is a Canadian investor that joined us as well. So, yeah, really exciting what they're doing.
I love it. Okay,
and they were originally called FinChat, which like they were one of the first to release that like AI co-pilot, for investing. So they have a great terminal product available to, even prosumers. It doesn't have to be professional investors, but like, I had Bloomberg my whole career on the hedge fund side, worked at Bloomberg. I use Fiscal AI every day on the terminal.
Wow.
I want to know what's going on for a stock. I can essentially talk to it, and they have the best fundamental data. So like, I know the answers are correct and it's not hallucinating.
Wow. Okay. We'll definitely take a peek into Fiscal AI. Going back to the crypto side of things, Maddie, we talked about tokenization a little, talked about prediction markets. Any other aspects of crypto that really get you going present day?
I mean, I think the stablecoin stuff, it's a no-brainer. Just international money movement and the costs around that, like what can change? Like, the applications that like for the masses is I think what excites me, right? Like stablecoins can be understood by my parents, right? The cost to send money to another country. Like I think the same thing with prediction markets, whether we need it or not, it makes sense. I think there's a whole host of other things that happen in crypto that like is definitely exciting. I just think like, what are 99% of people going to be using crypto for. And I think like some of those use cases that are happening now, especially like around tokenization and how wide that can go, that really gets me thinking.
Interesting. So tokenization, stablecoins, prediction markets. Again, I know you talked about, we didn't take a huge deep dive into tokenization, but Hyperliquid seems to be the front runner for perp stocks. I mean, it's going parabolic right now. I think that tokenized silver had $1 billion in volume yesterday after we're recording.
Yeah.
Pretty wild stuff. Tokenization of, you talked about Birkin bags, we got Pokemon cards, just about everything and anything. Are you guys still going big into crypto, or is that sort of slowed down like most VCs present day?
We've always been more financial services, fintech, and like we believe in
Mm.
blockchain, but we invested in Alpaca. They obviously offer
Yeah.
crypto trading infrastructure. They are powering a lot of the tokenization you see out there from the largest companies in the world.
Yeah.
Believers in it, personally invested. We have a fund of funds, so I've invested in a lot of crypto fund managers from Multicoin, Cadenza, Six Man, the list goes on. So like, I'm a believer in it. I wouldn't call myself the top crypto expert versus like, I think I'm better from the bridge from traditional finance to crypto is where we gotta
Gotcha.
sit. So we're looking at it, always open to it, but I don't think it's the only thing in our portfolio.
Gotcha. Maddie, what an episode. A couple more questions and we'll wrap up here. I mean, Par 4, I lurked your Twitter before we jumped on your X, excuse me. I saw you guys invested in Par 4. That looks electric. A big golfer myself, not as much as I'd like, because again, you know as well, if you work and you love work, it's pretty darn tough to golf. Being out for 6 hours in a row, it sort of wrecks your work day, especially when you're grinding. But c'est la vie. Par 4 looks pretty darn cool. I've been saying for a while, and no offense to Golf Now, I think it's a good product, but even Golf Now and a lot of the booking suites, like, to quote my girlfriend who's Spanish, it's mierda, it's absolute dog shit. And I still think there is room for a beautiful golf platform, like you called it, or like perhaps the founder called it, the Strava of golf. That's what we need. Do you think this can be the chance at it? Because if it can, I want in. I absolutely love this.
I think it can be Howard and Tom on our team, they were actually the original Golf Now investors. Obviously it
Oh,
was
wow.
acquired. We've done a bunch of private investments in golf stuff from LA Golf and Whoosh that was outside of the portfolio, but we see a ton of golf stuff. I mean, we have an office in Arizona. We're obviously in San Diego. So I think between the two places, there's a ton of golf happening. We're excited about the founders of Par 4. Obviously Golf Genius is the gorilla in the space, but if you've ever used it, whether you're on the consumer side or the professional side of managing courses, like tons of opportunity for something that's a little bit more innovative, the Strava for golf. So yeah, we're excited. I mean, we're early investors. Obviously it's just the beginning, so long road ahead of us, but I think with our expertise and connections in the golf space and the founder's drive and vision, I think there's a lot of opportunity there.
I love that. I think golf is it's one of the few things in life. One of the easiest ways to succeed is when you have a cult, and golfers are addicts, they're cult members, they're sick puppies, they love to spend money. I have a buddy who sells golf schools, and what he literally says is, he's like, John, how much would you spend to shave 3 strokes off your game? Would you spend $5K? John says, of course I would. Sweet, book the golf school. And they book it all the time. I mean, if I could shave 3 strokes, I'd probably spend $5K right now too. So golf is one of those things where if you can make a good business, people will spend the money. Maddie, absolute treat. Really appreciate you coming on. Any social lev news before we go today?
Yeah, so Social Leverage, we just closed Fund 5, $85 million fund. Just announced it a few days ago. So we're actively investing again, early stage companies, fintech, vertical AI. That's our exciting, focused area. US and Canada. We're in Canada regularly. Partners are from Canada originally. So yeah, we're excited. We're continuing to do what we've done for a long time.
Love it. And before we let you go, where can our listeners find you personally and Social Leverage online and on socials?
Socialleverage.com. That's where the firm is. We have a Twitter handle as well. I'm easy to find, Matt Ober on LinkedIn. I'm pretty active. I write there. I also write a newsletter, mattober.co, which is called The Roll Up. And that goes out, like you said, sporadically. Could be every day, could be every few days. Depends on what's on my mind.
I love it. Folks, what an episode with Matt Ober, managing partner at Social Leverage. Absolute banger. This is a good one, guys. Really hope you enjoyed this. I certainly did. And I have some homework to do. And guys, whenever a VC who crashes it comes on the show, listen to what they say, take some notes, talk to your favorite AIs, and go make some investments. Obviously, we don't get access to VC stuff, but go invest in the public companies, cryptos that offer similar trends areas, niches, businesses that Maddie just discussed. Huge shout out to Maddie and the team for making this happen. If you guys enjoyed this one, I hope you did. Please do subscribe. It would mean the world to my team and I. Speaking of the team, thank you guys. Love you so much. Thanks for everything. And back to listeners, you guys are the best. Keep on growing those bags and keep on staying healthy, wealthy, and happy. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next one. Ciao.